Fish on, baby!
Why do you volunteer?
I enjoy it. Being with people, doing some good. Hopefully increasing the salmon stocks.
Pacific salmon are a lifeblood species in British Columbia. Their homes stretch from mountain streams to the middle of the ocean. And more than 130 species depend on salmon abundance for survival. Salmon are called many things: an icon, a natural resource. But for more than 30,000 volunteers across British Columbia, they represent something more. For them, salmon are not simply resources to husband. For them, the salmon community, salmon are a constant reminder that we are all connected and of our responsibility to sustain them.
Of the volunteer stewardship groups is probably the most important part of fish habitat restoration on Vancouver Island, easily.
We have a lot of volunteers. We only have 4 full-time staff. So a lot of the things that happen specifically around here for getting more funding, the work around the place, the groundskeeping and whatnot, the volunteers play a key role. The main thing is working with the new fish. We've got a lot of young people right from 3 years old up that are actually working with the salmon and learning about them, helping us feed them, look after them, so they have a hands-on vested interest in looking after their babies.
I became a volunteer actually after my husband had passed away. He started up the Fanny Bay Salmon Enhancement Group in '93, and I just let him go play with his fish, sort of thing. But after he died, there was a couple of people said, "You've got to come out and work with us." And I said I had no idea what I was doing, and got hooked.
You know, it's fair to say that were it not for the volunteer program here and this community involvement hatchery and all the supporters that we have, DFO certainly wouldn't be in a position to be able to afford to run this.
It really is infectious. When we get involved and we lay a log into a stream and put in the spawning gravel or clear a barrier, and you come back and you see those salmon swim into that stream, we all do a happy dance. Don't tell everybody that, you know, we worked for nothing to do this, but indeed we do.
The Pacific Salmon Foundation evolved from the understanding that the regeneration and recovery of Pacific salmon couldn't be handled by government alone. 24 years in, and the Pacific Salmon Foundation has raised and invested almost $10 million in more than 1,200 salmon projects and 30,000 volunteers who do the heavy lifting for Pacific salmon. This investment lends a vital stamp of credibility to salmon projects across BC, providing leverage to raise additional support. On average, every dollar invested by the Pacific Salmon Foundation helps generate 7 more at the local level.
And our PSF has been instrumental in providing us with funding, which has allowed us to actually get the other funders on track to support the facility. So they were the first ones to come on board, supported us right from day one, and was just their basic work made this thing happen.
PSF has provided that long-term funding that allows us to continue projects on a year-to-year basis. You need that kind of momentum and focus for these things to occur. Without this kind of support and the match community support through the dinners, I don't think this would be possible.
The Pacific Salmon Foundation is unique in its ability to provide a reliable source of money to the community groups working to restore salmon habitats and salmon, that they are then able to add that to the monies they receive from the federal government. The communities themselves actually generate much of the money. The community dinner program annually conducted is a significant source of money to the Salmon Foundation, and then the Pacific Salmon Foundation adds funds to it through the Salmon Conservation Stamp, individual donations, and corporate donations. Actually, in recent years, the Salmon Foundation has been able to triple the net income from the dinner revenues, and those funds are provided directly back to the community salmon program. Typically, in recent years, we're only able to fund about half of the programs that are submitted for funding to the Pacific Salmon Foundation. Unfortunately, we also have to acknowledge that that situation is probably going to get worse in the next couple of years. What that means to all of us is that we're going to have to work harder to continue our programs in salmon conservation, restoration, education, and now in salmon research as well. The Salmon Foundation is committed to continuing to support all our communities. We describe the community programs as the heart of the Salmon Foundation, and the volunteers who give tremendous knowledge and experience and effort, they deserve our support.
Partnership at the community level is essential to the success of the Pacific Salmon Foundation and the hundreds of volunteer salmon stewardship groups that seek funding.
The Pacific Salmon Foundation is providing some core funding that gets a lot of projects up and running.
Frankly, I don't know what we would do without PSF, whether it be stock assessment or stream restoration, education. PSF has always been there to help us.
We certainly wouldn't be able to achieve some of the things that we have achieved in terms of fish production, education, habitat restoration. Pacific Salmon Foundation has been our major partner in reaching these goals.
We are everyday people of all ages from all walks of life. Commercial and recreational fishers, volunteers, conservationists, business people, First Nations, scientists. But what unites us is a common goal: to make sure that BC's Pacific salmon prosper, and we maintain our salmon culture in BC for generations to come. We are all part of the salmon community, and together we will ensure a future for Pacific salmon.
For almost 25 years, the Pacific Salmon Foundation has contributed to the restoration and enhancement of salmon habitat. But without the dedication, determination, and skill of volunteers at a local level, all of this effort would be worthless. I would like to thank you for your efforts in making all this possible. And my promise to you, our promise as the Pacific Salmon Foundation, is to continue raising funds for that purpose. Thank you.